to LA with it. NY to LA with it. I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride. Going pro, no lead. Make it easy like 1, 2, 3. Go, go, on 3, 2, 1. I fly till you can't see me. Swish, yeah. Ballin', from the first whistle we go all in. And one, call it. Numbers up and never falling. Feel like I hit the lottery and proud of me, yeah. No one baby proud of me, so I throw pride away. She know I stuck to the plan and I stayed out the way. Now we're spending no money, never touching the bank. Just from me the game and I'ma get it done. Don't do it for fame, do it for the ones. Ace with cigar, my damage my lungs. Wife, you want to drive, she get what she want. I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it.
You guys look good, man. You guys look good.
And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride. Going pro, no lead. Make it easy like 1, 2, 3. Go, go, on 3, 2, 1. I fly till you can't see me. Swish, yeah. Ballin', from the first whistle we go all in. And one, call it. Numbers up and never falling. My baby called me and said she need to stay. Be for real, 25 the other type of kid. Stop playing with me, you know that you here to stay. Stop playing with me, I'll be back home in 8. Know I'm on the go, but I'm not over you. Made you fall from home, but I'm still close to you. Gotta get that back like I'm supposed to do. Had to rush that re-up cause I'm overdue. I like getting money, I got time to get it. Target on me, so my car's a tinted. Dancing with the devil, I don't bargain with it. Bobbing in the dash, and the stick is with it. And I hit the 4-5 on the west side. But I'm from the east side, this how we slide. This how we ride, yeah, this how we ride.
Oh yeah, I had to break out the old classic song. I love that song because you know why? Because we got a reunion show going on. We got a couple of people, several people, actually all the people that are on the show today has been on Podcasters Live previously, and I couldn't think of a better way of kind of kicking off the new year with some amazing content creators talking about their year a little bit in review, talking about this year, what they're going to be looking at. We're going to have some deep conversations, and not just we're going to have a lot of fun. But here's the thing: the goal for tonight is that hopefully you, as the audience, you guys are going to leave with some thoughts around where you are right now within your content creation journey. We're also going to be talking a little bit about AI. We're going to talk about where they stand on that kind of that topic and how that's going to impact everybody as well. But more importantly, we are going to give you information around what you can do to improve your content creation journey. I'm Steve Worthy. I am the host of Podcasters Live, also the CEO of Podcasters Live. We are a company that works with podcasters and live streamers to help them understand how to grow their influence through live streaming and also through podcasting. We are going to get right to our show right after this. Oh yeah, alrighty. We got, you know what, the guys that we have here today. I am going to just go ahead and get us started. But before I do that, I do want to let you know that we are on YouTube live on Podcasters Live, so you can check us out there. If you haven't already, make sure you click that button to subscribe and that bell. We are on LinkedIn as well. So LinkedIn folks, we haven't forgotten about you. I'm going to make sure and check the comments to make sure you're good to go as well. And then lastly, we are also in our Facebook group. So if you haven't checked out our Facebook group, we ask that you go ahead and go over to the Podcasters Live. We are all over the net at Podcasters Live, everything. And then lastly but not least, you see that little logo right here, Podcasters Live. Go ahead and get your gear from Podcasters Live as well. So here we go. Look at this. Oh my gosh, we lost somebody already.
Monty done fell
Monty,
out.
we
He
lost
didn't.
somebody. We lost somebody already. I wasn't gonna
Monty
do
done
the
fell
grand
out.
intro,
He's doing it live.
grand opening, grand closing. Well, we have
No.
an amazing group of people here tonight. And what I'm going to do before I say hello to everybody that's out in the audience, I'm going to give everybody the opportunity to kind of introduce themselves because I can do it. But I want you to hear from their own mouth. We're going to start with my man, 50 grand, James Hicks.
Come on now. Let's get this going, huh? Let's get focused. Man, hey, James Hicks here from Hicks New Media, coming from the stormy side of California. We having a bomb cyclone right now. So if I lose power, if I lose internet, y'all pray for me. But that is what's happening out here. Engineering technologist focused on telling stories and enjoying this journey, loving the fact that I've got the opportunity to meet other like-minded creators like the other gentlemen on this panel. So Steve, I just thank you for allowing me to be part of this session again today.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you being here, man. We've been down for like the last maybe 2.5 years on this live stream journey, man. And I'm stoked to call you a peer, but also a friend.
Yes,
Same
sir.
thing with this. Same thing with this next gentleman. When I think about gear and I think about the idea of what I need next, when I first started out, other than Diana Gladney, he was the only other person that I would look at and kind of figure out what I needed to get from a gear standpoint. Loved his videos, loved the community that he's actually been able to create. And this is my man, Mr. Monty Weaver. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. I had to go make an adjustment before we went live. Haven't been live with you for a little while, so it's good to be back here. My name is Monty Weaver. That for those that haven't met me, content creator, product reviewer, brand deal, and sponsorship educator. So excited for this to hang out with everybody tonight. You guys here that are with us, definitely looking forward to this conversation. It's going to be a good one.
Excellent, excellent. And no, Monty is not in the witness protection program. I know he, I know, I know
First 48.
the first 48. He is revamping his basement, and it looks amazing from the pictures that you've shown, Monty. So I appreciate you coming here tonight, man, and say hello to that beautiful, beautiful baby girl to us for us as well too. This gentleman, gosh, I think we go back 2.5 years, maybe almost three, when right after I started podcasting again, and I started with this one podcasting group, and he and two other people, myself and two other people, broke off, and we just started connecting. We started our own sort of tribe, if you will, from a podcasting standpoint, and we have probably logged probably over maybe 300 hours of Zoom hours of us connecting. And I want to thank him because it's only around 7:05 here, 7:10. It's almost midnight over there. He's coming to us from over across the pond over in the UK. My man, Jamie Taylor. How you doing, dude?
Hello, everyone. Hello, hello, hello. My goodness, it's amazing to be connected with you all. I'm having to wear my hat because I don't usually do video. So, because I'm bald. So, to save you on the glare. My goodness, it's amazing to be connected with you all again. Yeah, I'm a software developer and audio podcast creator. And I'm all about giving back to the community that gave to me to get me to where I am. And, Steve, it's been a pleasure being connected and being friends with you this whole time and sharing these ideas and stuff. And,
Yeah.
James, Monty, and Dr. Elo, it's fantastic to be connected with you all today as well.
Yeah, thank you, man. I love we said sharing ideas because that's excuse me, 'cause that's what we're going to be kind of doing tonight. And speaking of sharing ideas, I've watched this gentleman too grow and mature in his content and how he's
Look at his
actually been able.
eyes.
Yeah, look at I know, right? See, I'm trying not to look at him. I'm looking at the camera, not looking at him. But I've seen him grow in his delivery. I've seen him grow in how he presents his content. We're going to talk a little bit about tonight with him as well and with everybody else and what he's doing right now, because that's going to be the other thing that he never stays the same. He always wants to do something different. So tonight we're going to be talking a little bit with Mr. Dr. Elo. How you doing today, sir?
Doing great, man. This is Dr. ADHD. I'm always changing. I'm always doing something new. So yeah, it's time to change. So 2023, I'm pivoting a little bit. Usually, I do a lot of live streaming. That's what I concentrate in. Not gonna let live streaming go away, but I am pivoting a little bit and talking into creator mindset. I want to get out of the studio, do some vlogs, and let people know a little bit more about me and not just here sitting down in the studio. I'm also the Be Live community manager. Started that gig around 3-4 months ago. So I'm the community manager now, which is really cool. It gives me the opportunity to keep on live streaming on the side for the company. Um, I'm a doctor of management, environmental and social sustainability. I'm married to a beautiful wife. I have an 8-year-old, and I work for the federal government during the day. During the night, I'm kind of a Batman. So yeah, that's it. That's it for me.
Nice, man. Nice. Works for the government. Everybody keep you got to keep it PC. Got to keep it PC today. But before we get into the
Thank you,
questions, let's
brother. I'm really
yeah. But what are you drinking, man? Come on
Look at
now.
him. He drinking something fancy, boy. God, dog.
This is actually non-alcoholic beer.
Not okay. That's an oxymoron.
It's during the
That
week.
ain't right. That's fake news. That
Yeah.
That is an oxymoron right there. So we have Michelle Jones in the building as well. Mr. Mark Taylor, how you doing? He's over there and across the pond too, hanging out with us as well. So I appreciate that. Rockstar lineup, yes it is. Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. Mark said he's been looking forward to this all day. Dude, what else have you been doing today, man? I mean, did you finish my podcast episodes, man? No, I'm just joking with you. I appreciate it. Mark is a phenomenal podcast, not just editor, but producer. He has done all of my Worthy Retail leadership stuff, and he's gonna be doing my podcasters live stuff as well. So if you need somebody, please let me know. I connect you with him as well too. And shopping with Shirley, y'all trying to hide? I'm sorry. Did we miss you? You know, we right over here. We are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and we're also on YouTube right now. So thank you, Shirley. I appreciate you being here. And then I guess I owe you some money for this one. It's Steve, the legend. I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate you. I'm kind of a big deal. But next to these guys, I'm not. I'm just Steve Worthy. Shara saying hello to everybody. Even Mr. James Hicks saying hello to everybody. Mr. Chris Stone is in the building. Thank you so much for being here, Chris
That's
Stone.
some winners out here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Chris. Chris Stone is around my way now. We still have to connect, Chris. We still have to connect. We down here in the ATL together now. Look at these rock stars, all-star lineup. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Monty wanted to make his own entrance. Yes, he did. Monty was like, I'm just gonna slide in. He's like,
I had to get noticed.
Like a temptation. Nobody up there doing. Monty's always branding with the energy drink. That's
Hey, they send it
we
to
know
me.
you working. Yeah, we know you working.
They pay me. It shows up. Hey, product placement. We'll talk about it later.
like Deion Sanders, man. You just like got stuff all over. Next thing you know, I'm surprised. What is that pen? Is that like is that a Wilson? Is that a what kind of pen is that you got? That's just a
We're live
Sharpie.
streaming live.
Pilot
Platform.
The luxury hybrid says, "Let's go, let's go." She says, "What's good, Monty?" Steve, same audio issues. Bump it up a little bit. Okay, all righty. There we go. How's that? Hopefully that should actually do it. Let me know if that works and I share. So hopefully that sounds a lot better than what it was. We got quite a few people in here tonight, and I'm actually excited to go ahead and get started over here. Mr. Guerin, how you doing today, man? You in the building? Like we got some heavy hitters in the building. We got Chris over here in the building. We got Tony. Tony, how are you, man? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Chris Wolf. Okay, so you know what? These guys didn't come here for me to just. I know we're gonna shout you guys out, but here's the thing. Let's go ahead and get into kind of the content and what we want to talk a little bit about as well. So one of the things that I did want to discuss tonight with you guys is really just going to be initially around kind of your year in review, right? A lot of us have made pivots to different things. Some of us have actually been able to kind of nail it down or niche down, if you will, a little bit into kind of our core area. And some people are still kind of discovering a little bit more about who they are and where they need to go. I really want you
Mm.
guys to maybe talk a little bit about maybe some highlights and some lowlights, and then what was it that actually made some of those lowlights low and maybe some of those highlights high for you. And if you are finding or if you found kind of your niche, because there are probably some people here that are going to probably be in one camp or the other. We're going to start with Dr. Elo.
All right, all right. So, the highlight of my year, obviously, was being the community manager for Be Live. For me, that was the highlight. That I was chosen. I didn't apply for the job. I didn't. They were just like, "Hey, man, do you want to be community manager?" So I was impressed. Definitely, I was really surprised. And then I'm doing the job right now. I love doing the job, which is really amazing. The low light, I was doing too many live streams, man. I think I was burning
Mm,
myself out. I did burn myself out, to be very honest. And at the end of the year, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go Puerto Rico, visit the family. I don't want to do anything. I just want to sit down in front of the beach and just think, what do you want to do next? And I started developing an idea of that 2023 for me. I needed to pivot. So I started thinking about what would I love to do that has a relationship to what I do already. So I want to give ideas to people about how not to burn out. That's the first one. I want to include vlogs so people can actually get to know me a little better, and I can actually share more of my story. And while still doing live streams, occasionally, but I don't want to be stuck to a desk every single week. Let's put it that way.
mm,
So
mm.
um, I just want to diversify whatever I'm doing and keep on, I'm going to keep on helping people out doing with consultancy, how to set up their live streams, how to do everything the correct way, how to get confident in camera, all those things. But I want to evolve. I want to evolve the channel. I want to make sure that I'm hitting something that I like with something that people like as well. So being just doing live streams wasn't doing it for me. So I'm gonna mix it up a little bit, and hopefully, the first video came out, and got a lot of views. So I
Yeah,
hopefully did something right. I'm gonna tell you
yeah.
next year.
so, so, so why? What was it that made you feel that you needed to evolve? Is it just that? Was it the burnout, or was it that you just were like, okay, you know what, I need to do something different because I'm maturing in my content,
Yeah.
or my audience is asking for something different? Was it a couple of those things, or what was the thought process?
Here's the funny part. I was doing everything two times. I was doing my live streams. I was doing Be Live live
Mhm.
streams. So I was doing like the same thing. So I got bored. I'm gonna lie. I got
Mm,
ADHD, man. I need to change it up. I need to change it up every couple of years, 3 years or whatever. So I've been doing this for around 3 years. So I needed to change it up. I had the need to make something different and not make it. I needed to make it fun again. When it starts
mm,
being fun, it starts feeling like it's a job. I'm like, I need to do something to spice it up. So I'm spicing it up with my experience, with some vlogs so people can actually get to know me and know my story. And hopefully that inspires some people to go out there and do some stuff as well. So
nice.
it doesn't have anything to do with my audience. My audience was responding well and everything,
Mm,
and they're even responding well to this. So I've even included a lot of shorts. So I'm adapting to the times, I guess. So it's
mm,
kind of working out a little bit, but I'm evolving, and I'm always evolving at my job, or I'm evolving here. So
yeah.
you always mature and get better at things, and always try to keep it fresh. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
So
keep it fresh. Keep it fresh and so clean, clean. That's awesome, dude. I appreciate you sharing that. Mr. Monty Weaver, man, you have been um you've been blowing up the airways with Amazon Live,
oh yeah.
with the new studio that you've been building down there with now all PTZ cameras. Blowing up the internet when as soon as you post a picture of your beautiful little daughter on there, the internet just crashes. when you put a picture of her on there. What are you doing differently now, or what in 2022? What did you do differently, kind of maybe from the beginning of the year to the tail end of the year that you look back and you're like, "Ooh, man, I didn't see that coming," or "I didn't see that evolution in my brand and what I've been doing coming."
Yeah, yeah, real life. In 2021 December, I was blessed with my daughter, so the real life of family and business, really evaluating time and
Mm,
prioritizing how I use time. So for me, it was okay. Here's a new role that I'm in that I'm loving, but I'm still a content creator. I'm still a business owner. And how do I maximize that as well? Because now I'm learning something new. So a lot of the beginning of the year was just learning because similar to Dr. Elo, I was doing a lot of live streams. And so I had to evaluate, okay, is it worth me showing up to do this live stream? Or maybe I should just create a post instead.
mm,
Um,
mm,
that the highlight of the year was, leaning into Amazon and being recognized by them as one of the top 300 creators on their influencer platform, and getting a chance to go out to LA at the end of last year and learning more about this Amazon influencer program and how it's working. So, really that paying attention to how I'm using my time caused me to really focus more. And that's a lot of what I'm going to be doing for this next year, is just focusing on that one thing. I've read the book before, and then sometimes we veer off and we forget what we were supposed to be doing, but being able to just focus more on what's working. And
mm,
right now, it's working for me to be on a particular platform, to show up on that platform and not try to be everywhere. One of the things, if I could do anything better this coming year, is workflow.
mm, mm, mm.
Vertical video, horizontal video, this platform, that platform is okay. How do I show up, and how do I show up where it makes sense, and then put the workflow behind it so I can be consistent? Because we know in this
Yeah,
space,
yeah,
if you don't show up, people will go find somebody else to watch. They'll go find someone else to learn from. So how do you show up, be consistent, and then not make it overwhelming? Simple is a thing. Simple works sometimes. And so sometimes
yeah.
people will see all the gear, all the different places that I appear to show up, and not realizing what goes behind that. And so, helping people keep a simple, sustainable workflow and how they show up is one of the things that I'm working on as well, and really like relaying that to other people so they can follow in that direction.
Yeah, that's good. You mentioned you said something that you found things that you were doing was working, right? I think that is something that a lot of people want to know the definition to. It could be something different to this person or that person, but I think the idea is that a lot of people want to know, well, I don't even know if this is working or not. Because I am also the of the opinion that a lot of people don't give whatever it is that they're trying to do enough time to work before they start to chase. I call it the shiny object syndrome as well too. We got an episode over to Worthy Retail U. Go check it out. Shiny object syndrome. Just a little quick plug. But I don't. I think people don't give it enough time to actually, work. How did you know? What's your definition of what's working for you, or when this piece of content or this platform or whatever it may be is working for you?
Yeah, I have goals. That's something that we often overlook. Is what do I want to achieve this year?
Mm,
And
mhm,
like you said, like I had been doing the Amazon thing since 2020, so it wasn't just a 1 year thing. It wasn't just a 6 week thing that I was trying. I had been putting some effort into learning this thing, and when I saw the goal that I wanted to reach last year, it was more so just being recognized by this big power player company, right? Because I was on
mm,
their platform, I was using their platform, and that was a goal that I hit. So for me, sometimes it's financial. Okay, what do I really, if I'm
mm,
showing up on YouTube, do I want to generate AdSense? Do I want to make some affiliate money? Like, what am I really trying to accomplish? Otherwise, I'll go and just hang out with the family and just enjoy life that way. Because as content creators, we can't afford to just show up all the time and just do things willy nilly. Like it just doesn't work that way. So, for me, it's okay. I have people that are interested in what I'm doing. They're reaching out. They're saying, how can I get involved? So I see that I'm making an impact as well. And I think, for my personality type, like I want to see people win. So if I feel like I'm making an impact, then it's something that gives me the fuel to keep going. So, one of the things, even Steve, I'm doing this year is really cutting back on interviews.
Mm.
But I know you and the connections we've built and the people that we've helped. So I'm like, oh no, I'll do this one because this is my guy. And I know that this stream right now, it's valuable for me to I'll give you this. I'm building out this studio, but I'm away from home. I've been used to being at home with my wife and daughter like every day.
Yeah.
So I'm in a studio away from my house right now where I could be home. So when I evaluate everything this year, I'm really evaluating everything this year and just making sure that it makes sense.
Oh man, there's so many things I could go and go down that road. I wrote down some things we'll talk about. We'll circle back a couple of those things. We're gonna go to my guy across the pond. Jamie, you have been able to carve out a super niche when it comes to your podcast, right? You have a podcast. It's not just about developing, not just about developers, but you have been able to generate over 500,000 downloads for your podcast episode. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of downloads, especially given, if it was like a comedy podcast or a true crime podcast, all this other stuff, like that would probably be like a million maybe, right? But for your area, you're 500,000. What have you, because you've pivoted a couple of times this year, I know, because we've actually talked a lot about it. What are some of the things that you have done differently this year to not just leverage the success that you've actually been able to, garner with your podcast, but also how you're actually helping out the community and the people around you as well?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I'm all about the community, right? So as you said, Steve, my podcast is specific to, like, it's not just programming; it's specific to programming using a very specific set of tools, right? And that's what that's, and then even then, it's a specific set of tools in a specific computer programming language, right? And so it's really sort of, like you said, super duper niche. And what I've tried to do with that is I just want to get the information out there. I just want to help people who are starting out, people who've been doing it for years, and give people a space where they can talk about, because it's primarily an interview show, right? So I connect with other software developers and I say, hey, what is the thing that you are making that is really cool? And let's talk about it on this show, right? And so I've reached out to people who are in all sorts of areas in the community. People who are just starting out, people who've got commercial products, people over at Microsoft and had those on, because they're making the thing. Let's talk about the thing that you're making, um, and because what I want to do is I want to just try to, like I said in sort of my intro earlier on, I want to give back to the community that gave me so much, right? Because yeah, I did go to university, I did go to school, whatever, and took a comp sci degree, but it wasn't until after I got out of university that I actually started learning how to use all of this stuff, right? Because they taught
Mm.
you all the theory, but I say to people that anyone can learn to do the actual coding part of it, because all you're doing is learning a new language, right? We've all learnt at least one spoken language, which proves that we can communicate with each other, which means that we can learn another language to help us communicate with a computer. And human language has hundreds of thousands of words and different combinations. Computer programming languages have, compared to human spoken languages, they have a very small subset of words and phrases and the grammar and the syntax and stuff. So actually learning that bit, learning what the Lego blocks are, is easy.
Mm.
Learning how to put them
Hmm.
together, not so
Mm.
much, right? So if you want to build a wall out of Lego, that's relatively easy. You can just click them all together. But if you want to build the Batmobile, right, that's a little bit more difficult. So you might need someone to show you how to do that. And that's what I want to do. I want to get all of these really clever people, these really smart people around me, and say, look, these are all smart people. Let's show the world how to make this stuff, right? Because that's all they did with me. They showed me. Somebody has shown me how to do stuff. I've talked to you, Steve, before about how do I get this microphone working? How do I get, I'm currently using the camera built into my Mac Air M2. But in the next couple of months, I'm going to be looking at buying a new camera. And, peeking behind the curtains a little inside of baseball, just before we went live, y'all were all talking about all the different cameras that you've got, and you're throwing out these numbers, and I'm like, those are car model numbers, aren't they?
Well, first of all, you know what, all you got to do is call me, man, and we can connect about the right camera for you as well too. So I'm excited that you're gonna have that piece because to the quality of the visual for you to go along with the quality of the work that you do, I think they need to be hand in glove as well too. And I know the camera is gonna help you out with that.
Sure.
One of the things that I know that um you're passionate about, and we don't want I want to save a little bit of this conversation for a little bit later, which is why I'm just going to kind of put a pin in it, is just around the end user. And I want to talk a little bit more about that piece, kind of coming up too. So stay tuned, everybody, because we're going to talk a little bit about the end user and how is your content actually directed, or is it going to be directed to the end user and their impact on the end user as well. Mr. James Hicks. Mr.
No, let me
James,
stop playing.
this Mr. I don't even know. I
Why
don't
you
even
gotta
know how
save
to
me for
start.
last? Because I'm gonna cause some trouble.
That's why.
Pray
That's
for me, man.
exactly why. And we got a limited amount of time. No, we don't. We got all night. However long this live stream take, but
Only gonna be here for a while.
we're gonna be here for a while, man, because this is gonna
Yeah.
be some good stuff we got going on. You and I, we have talked, on and off, almost every other week or whatever it may be this year, just about different things, whether it's life, whether it's different things that are transpiring in your in your businesses and what you've been doing. And I think we've also shared the idea of elevating kind of what we're trying to do within our
Mm.
within our content, and within our platforms. What's that thing that you've actually looked at when you look back at the beginning of last year until the end of this year, where you've actually been able to kind of pivot, you've been able to possibly prune, and then also maybe kind of crystallize the thoughts and content that you're actually putting out there so that you can really focus in on the audience that you're serving.
Yeah. I quit playing. Right. I learned. I stopped playing. Right. It's no longer just a side hustle. It's no longer just
Come
a
on.
game. It's no longer me just up here turning on these lights and pressing record. I officially started the LLC. So HicksNewMedia.com. Hicks New Media LLC is for real, 100%. We're locked in terms of goals, directions, missions. I like the fact that Monty talked about he's got his goals written down. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
And really, look, I was enjoying what I was doing in terms of just coming on, having conversations and telling stories and engaging and growing community and things of that. But taking it to that next level of making this into a business, right? I was already monetized. I was already getting affiliate marketing. I was already getting merch. All of that was already happening. So there was financial aspect already, but going to that next step, right? Going to that next level and really trying to stretch myself, finding what can I do next. And the only way to really be successful as a business was to become a business. So that was the highlight really in terms of last year. And I didn't do that until around November, to be honest with you. I messed around but I did it. So that was a big, huge thing in terms of my growth, my evolution, and just in terms of me providing value to the community that I'm trying to shepherd.
Yeah. So you're not a businessman. You're a business man.
Man,
Okay.
come on
I
now.
just thought I'd just put that out
Right.
there.
This is Sparta!
There you go. He pushing buttons, man.
I had to
Pushing
put some
buttons.
buttons in there. I had to put some
Yeah.
buttons in there. I love that, man, because that is what got you to that point though, right? Because I think a lot of people they want to get to that point of almost getting fed up with like
Mm.
being regular, or they get fed up with like, oh my gosh, I want to push the envelope. I want to do something different. But man, if I step too far out of being different, then I'm gonna lose probably audience, or I may lose my cachet or whatever. What got you to that point where you just like, yo, dude, this is it, and this is where I want to go?
Plateaued, right? So I've been
Mm,
in content creation for over a decade. I started with WordPress, and I know Matt Mullenweg, the founder of Automatic. So I've been in that world for a long time. So I know that piece. I dabbled in podcasting, not as seriously as you and Jamie, but so I've been in content creation for a while, and I really was just a plateau of saying I got to figure out. I don't necessarily have to figure out. I know what I have to do next to really elevate me as the brand, because I am the brand, right? My name is on the company. So how do I get past this point of being comfortable,
mm,
of being content, right? I may be 53 years old, but I'm not ready to retire, right? So there's still a lot of fire in there to keep moving and keep going. And that next thing was, let's not be comfortable, let's not be content, but let's get to that next level, and let's actually sign this paperwork, and let's actually open up these accounts, and let's actually be official with what we're doing. Nothing wrong with hustle, nothing wrong with side hustle, nothing wrong with a hobby, nothing wrong with doing this as something of that nature. But when you really want to lock in, and as my TV on the wall says, focus, that was my word for last year, stay focused on you. If you really want to focus on what matters, you have to be courageous enough to make those next steps. You have to be courageous enough to try something, because if you don't, you're going to end up
mm,
being 70, 80 years old, sitting in a rocking chair and saying, man, if I had just taken that opportunity to be me and to do what I want to do,
mm,
I would probably had a different outcome, right? So instead of being complacent and saying, I wish I had, get out of your own way and actually go out there and do it. So that's what it was for me, getting out of my
mm.
own way and just actually doing it.
I love the word that you use, courageous. I don't think a lot of people think about content creation or what they do in that context, and they should,
Mm, mm,
because I think you and I, we often talk about in the context that there's somebody out there waiting to hear what you have to say.
yeah.
The tendency is that we don't want to put it out there because we get caught up in this mindset. It's not just so much imposter syndrome, but it's also this idea of like we're not good enough, which is part and parcel with imposter syndrome, to the point of like, who really cares what I have to say? I am just this lowly guy over here in Atlanta talking about who's passionate about podcasting, but who really cares about what I have to say? And I often and we all come across people like that too, and we help them understand that there's a channel, there's your tribe, whatever you want to
Mhm.
call them. There is somebody out there waiting to hear what you got to say. But the fact that you're sitting on your hands and you're sitting there waiting for somebody to either, um, you know, how can I'm put it to you this way: if you don't use what God's called you to do, He's gonna give it to somebody else. I
There it
have
is.
I'm
Make
gonna
it
put it
plain.
I have seen it this way in my life where I didn't step out and do what he called me to do, or put in my heart to do. I saw someone else doing it, and I got so pissed. And I got how many of you out there in the audience have seen that, where you know that there was something that you were kind of called to do and you didn't do it, and then the next season came by, someone else is out there doing it. Woo!
Preach,
Yep.
To
brother.
me, that part pisses me off because I'm not gonna allow that to happen to me again. Again. Anyway, I digress. I digress. Anybody want to share something on that before we move to the next thought process? Go ahead. Anybody? Go ahead, Jamie.
So yeah, that's almost exactly how my podcasting journey started. Um, at the time, Microsoft were just about to announce this thing called .NET Core, which is what the show was named after, and there wasn't anything that was very specific about .NET Core out there. There was lots of, for very complicated reasons, there was a thing called .NET Framework. .NET Core was a rewrite of it, make it simpler, make it easier. There was nothing out there that was specific to .NET Core and what that is and why it was different. And I kind of sat there with a bunch of trusted people, and I said, "Hey, I think I've got this idea, and I think I want to see where it goes." And they said, "Well, go do it then." You know, what's the worst that could happen? Go do it. And so what I did was I took my laptop, went and sat at the coffee shop, and I thought to myself, I will write, the ideas down for the first 3-4 episodes. If I can't come up with three or four episode ideas or 3 or 4 pieces of content, then there isn't a thing here,
Come on.
right? And I put the laptop down. I got my, blended coffee, whatever it is, drink sitting there, and the coffee was cold by the time I'd finished typing, and I had the first 18 episodes written. And not just as bullet points, as like, I want to say this, then this, then this, then this, paragraph, 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 paragraph. And 12 of those have never been released. So that's like content sitting on the backlog, right? But the point I'm getting at is that if I hadn't have gone out and done it, someone else would have. Like you said, Steve, right? Somebody else is doing it. So, and to me, it was just go sit in the coffee shop and just type some stuff up and see what's there. And then I sat and recorded like 1 or 2 episodes and just sent them to a few friends. Didn't put them out there. Just was like, I contacted my friend James. I was like, hey, James. Obviously, not you, James. Different James. But I'd happily send it to you too. James. Right? That's not a problem.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, James, what do you think to this? Is this good? Does it need to be changed? What's the music? All these kinds of getting little hints and tips for things that I could do to improve it. And then that's all I did. And the phrase that I like to use is that everybody knows this bit. A journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. But if it's in the wrong direction,
come on,
it's 2,000 miles.
Come on, watch yourself now.
Dropping gems.
Okay. Keep on talking like that if you want to. We're gonna have church in here before you know it.
But that's why there we go. But that's why I started reaching out to people, because I was like, is this the right thing to do? Is this a good idea? What's going on? And then I had all of this blog content I'd been writing. I could fall back.
Look at Monty's writing that down.
I can guarantee that there's something that you've all done already, whoever's watching out there in video land, there's something you've done already that you can then either pivot and convert it into some other format, or you can say, hey, this is my story with this thing, right? So with the beginning of the podcast, it was like, I want to tell my story with how I got started with this stuff. And then people started reaching out to me to be on the show. I was like, oh, wow, okay, I guess it's an interview podcast now. And so, the first 4 or 5 episodes are just me talking. And then since then, it's been me talking with these amazing people I'd have never met had it not been for the show. And I'd have never met, you 4 amazing people. Most of the people in the chat, I'd have never met you if it wasn't for it, right? Take that chance. Be courageous.
Yeah.
But make sure you're pointing in the right direction first.
Right? I know, right?
Know what your goals are and know vaguely the right direction towards where the goal is, and just go and see where it takes you. What's the worst that could happen, right?
Oh my gosh. Anybody else want to share real quick?
Yeah, I mean, I know you want to keep moving, but I mean, the stuff that we're talking about, man, is so
fire.
A lot of times folks, again, are just in their own way. We're talking really, and I hate to say it is common sense, right? It really is. If you're trying to do something, if you're trying to succeed, if you want to do something that levels you up, that levels up your family, you think about it, plan for it, set a goal for it, do all of the things that you would typically do if you were buying a house, buying a car, right? Making a large decision within your life as well. And then go out and execute on it. Execute on it. And actually, when you fail, when you falter, and when you flub, fall down and get back up and learn from that. Why is it so hard and so difficult? So many people want to do what it is that we do.
Yeah.
So many people have a topic, have a community, have something that they want to share online. They want to own their own space online. They want to own montyweaver.com, right? And it only costs you, what, $6.99 a year to buy the domain, right? It's very inexpensive to get into this field of content creation. And a lot of times folks are hesitant because they let external circumstances and entities and thoughts get in their way. That it's a crab in a barrel syndrome sometimes, right? Other folks say, no, you can't do that because you're too late. There's already all these other folks out here making millions of dollars doing it. Why should you do it? And then a lot of times folks will pause and say, oh, I think they're right. Maybe I shouldn't do this. But get away from that negative tone. So that's one thing I'm doing for sure. And I've been really locking in. I got a lot of acquaintances. I got a
Make it
handful of
plain.
friends,
Make it plain.
right? And the family is tight. I really limiting the folks who have access to the bat phone, folks who have access to my, like Monty said, to my time. 'Cause you can't get that back. And if I mess around and give you 3 hours of my day and all you can talk about is negativity and you can't talk about progression and you
Mm.
can't talk about how we can all get better, not just you. I'm down for you to get better too, but how can we all achieve and how can we all get better? How can I learn from you and how can you learn from me? I can't work with you. But man, folks, get out of your own way. A lot of folks again want to talk about gear and get bogged down into, oh, that's a $500 microphone. I can't afford that. Well you buy $100 one. Sammy
Mhm.
Superstar is on here, but he knows every single microphone on the planet. He can
Mm.
put you in touch with a microphone that costs $20 that sounds great, right? You don't need these full frame cameras to go out there and do what you got. You got $1,000 video camera that shoots 4K 60 frames per second in your pocket,
Yeah, you
right?
do.
So I mean, so again, I guess I'm tired. I'm tired of the excuses. I'm starting to get like Sean Boyd, right? Sean is he's
Yeah.
y'all know Doc, right?
Doc
I mean,
Rock.
just getting tired of folks who make excuses for success for themselves when they know they can get out there and do it. Again, just leverage the tools that you have, leverage your community, and go out there and do it.
Mm.
Start ugly. You'll get prettier along the way. That's it.
There you go. And I'm pretty good at Photoshop, so I can make myself look a little bit better too.
AI, baby, AI.
Yeah. That's
yeah.
gonna take a lot of work. That's gonna take a
Yeah.
lot of work. I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, it's gonna take a lot of work.
If I
Monty,
could
man.
just jump on.
Go ahead,
Steve, if I
Jamie.
just
Go ahead,
jump on
Jamie.
something that James had
Absolutely.
said. I feel like when a lot of people start out on the journeys that we've all taken, and I appreciate we've all taken different journeys, they all do what James had said. I need to go out and spend up $1 billion on a camera and a microphone and internet access and a laptop and all this kind of stuff. Those first few things that I recorded, we used the microphone built into the laptop, and I just leant in close to the screen and spoke directly into the laptop. Yeah, it sounds dreadful, but the lesson was still there, right? The lesson for me as a recorder, as a performer, as a content creator was, figure out how microphones work and stuff like that.
Mm.
But there was still the quality content for the audience, for the people who were consuming it, right? And it's an iterative process. Start with what you have, then when it makes sense to buy a new thing, buy the next thing. And then based on what you said there, James, about allow yourself to fall, allow yourself to falter, to flub, to make these mistakes. And I'm going to quote Saida Garrett when I say this: dust off your butt and get your self-respect back. Just get back on with it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man.
Because every failure is a chance to learn. You can then figure out, what did I do that led to that situation, and how can I stop it from happening next time, right?
Yeah, man. I want to share something. Because I'm at a point in my life, and I think this in this journey, and I think this is going to bless somebody, where I have been here before. I have been at this precipice in my life before, and I turned away, and because whether or not I felt that it was going to be too big for me to handle, or it was going to cause me to become uncomfortable, the further I moved through this process, through this journey. And this just been the last couple of days I've been dealing with this, is because it's getting tough. And I don't mean that tough in a negative way. I mean tough maybe tough in a negative way, but tough in the like, where you can see the things that are about to come to pass and coming through, or they're to be coming through in your life. And I have turned away from these moments in my life several times. And so that's why I was asking you, James, around being fed up, because I'm at that point in my life now of being fed up with the Steve that would turn away and just go back to the comfort zone, or go back to doing things that you were comfortable doing. Now, when you are actually at this point, you need to continue to press on. I was at my old gym when I lived in Maryland. There was this exercise. I think it was like 25 different exercises or something like that. And he had different reps for each one of them. And he said, okay, I'm just going to keep telling you what to do until you get to the end. But the goal is for you to just keep going through. You don't know when he's going to tell you to stop, but you need to keep going through each exercise. And this time, I had made it up until there was two people left, class of about 20. Two people left, myself and another person. And he said, okay, I need you guys to do jumping jacks, 25 or 30, 40 jumping jacks. We're like, okay. I was spent. I was tired, and I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I gave up. And he was like, and then as soon as I gave up, he said, last exercise. All I had to do was go one more exercise and I would have finished. I would have finished all of them. And I said, no, you're lying. No. And he showed me that all I had to do was one more. But I gave up. I gave up right when it mattered. Right when it mattered. So you never know when that blessing or when that opportunity is going to come, because you give up right before it matters. So don't do that. So anyway, I just felt I had to get that off my
it's
chest,
like,
man.
here's another sports analogy, right? It's I've run a marathon before, right? And it's that wall that folks get to before they get to the 20, the end of it. And that's a lot of times the point where folks feel, I can't continue on. I can't go any further. I can't run another mile. I can't run around this block anymore. But once you get over that wall, once you get past that wall, literally and figuratively, that's when it actually kind of sticks into and kicks into auto drive. That's when the body actually starts being accustomed to the stresses that you're putting on it at that particular time. That's when you're able to actually push forward. Then you start fueling your body. So bringing it back to a context of business, that's when you start learning. That's when you start building communities. That's when you start engaging with folks with similar mindsets. That's where you start getting that power and you start getting that ability to go on one more step. So you don't quit. So, I always got to bring a sports analogy in anything I talk about. So it's just like hitting the wall in a marathon, man. Okay, I'm done. I'm sorry.
You done? You sure? You sure?
No.
All right, because I didn't get my man Monty in here. So Monty, one of the things that I know I feel that you do extremely well is to build community, and you've been able to build your community, over time. When you think about content and the things that you create, because I want to shift a little bit over here to this idea around content and the end user. When you think about what you do on a daily basis, how much of that are you taking into consideration, like the community that you've built and making sure that you're continuing to add value? Or how much of it is it because I know you're making money, man. I'm just saying, I'm just making sure, I'm going to put it out there because all of us want to get to that level. But how much of it is making sure that you balance what's right for the community and what's right for the business?
Yeah, so it's very, very interesting. I think you were in my mind the last week or so, because
I was
for community, what I'm teaching them what I'm doing. And when I was listening to what you guys were saying, what I'm doing is based off of what I know, my experiences, things that I have access to. And so the exact formula of what I'm doing is different from what I'm teaching, because like we just talked about, some people think you have to have 8 PTZ cameras to do what I'm doing. Well, no, that's not the case. Oh, you need this professional microphone that costs X amount of dollars. Well, no, that's not the case either. The problem that I find, Steve, with community in general, and then just making it work for me, is getting people to do the work. A lot of us see what is actually at the end of the road, at the end of the tunnel, at the end of the marathon. But so many people, to your point, James, in community, if they're by themselves in the community, you can be in the community and not be involved. They will not do the work. So trying to get people just to simply support each other in community is something that I didn't know I signed up for. Because Dr. Elo said, hey, Monty, can you help me do a thing? I can help you do a thing, but I got to help you do it the way that works best for you. Otherwise, you're not going to do it. And Monty's going to feel some type of way, or Dr. Elo's going to feel some type of way. Like, you didn't help me get to the end. Well, in community, everybody's different. And so what I'm learning is that as I'm teaching people what I do, that I have to tailor it. And you guys know that takes time to tailor solutions for different people and different mindsets and different thought processes. So the reality is it's a challenge
Mm,
for me. And
mm,
so I'm learning it as I'm doing
Hmm.
at the same time. And as I'm doing it, I'm learning a lot about myself. I'm learning a lot about how other people think. I used to, I've been saying this a lot recently. I used to laugh at people that went to school and studied psychology. I thought that was the easy way out, the easy degree. But now I actually want to go and study it myself. I'm like, oh, this is real. You don't create content because you don't believe your content's worth it. You don't have faith in yourself to put
Wow.
your message out in the world.
mm,
That's the reason you're not making any content. You're not confident enough to even hit post, to hit share, to hit live stream. It has nothing to do with the technicals of what do I need? How do I connect this to that? Has nothing to do with that. You are not confident that when you put your message out there that it will resonate with who it's supposed to resonate. You're more focused on the negativity and the backlash and
mm.
all the comments that come along with it, so you refrain from doing it. Thus you'll never get to that blessing, that promise, the actual goal that you're trying to get to, because you're focused, James, on the wrong thing.
Man, I wish you could just replay exactly what you just, everything what you
Oh, don't
just
worry about it,
said.
because I'm gonna cut that up, and that's gonna be a micro content on my. That'll be on my TikTok in
My
about 2
content,
hours.
James. That's my content.
That's why I didn't say nothing.
No, that's man. That's first right to
That was
refusal.
hot.
That's on me. This is my
That was hot
that's
right
my
there.
domain. This is my domain. No.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, man. That's so funny. That is, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? You can teach people how to do something all day long, but man, they still got to do it. Like, I don't. That is probably the most. You want to talk about psychology? I'm going to tell you what to do, but you won't do it. All you got to do is work at retail for a season. You will get your psychology degree. You will get your psychology degree. Just go ahead and work retail for a good season, 6 months. I'm telling you right there, you'll learn a lot, right, about people. But I think that has always been the difficult part. Even for me, when I talk about leadership from the other side of the businesses that I do, it has always been that. It has always been hard for me to, and I think James was on my podcast, and we talked a little bit about this, the retail leadership with Steve Worthy. We talked about how do you motivate people, right? How do you get somebody to actually do something that they've internalized and said that they actually want to do? And honestly, sometimes you just can't. You just can't. They are going to continue with the gear acquisition syndrome, because all they're going to do is continue to buy gear upon gear upon gear, thinking that it's the gears issue. It is not so much that. It's just the fact that you haven't even bothered to write down what it is that you need to do and that you need to present. Okay, I'm going to stop there because I can keep going. James, what? Hurry up before I get to
there,
Jamie.
but I know. Stop there. But okay, here's my thought on this whole thing right here. And this is for everyone that's listening, not necessarily for the panel. Folks that are in that state,
Yes. Come on.
There's not a problem with that. If you are still at that level, there's nothing wrong with that. You just dealing with some cats right here. You just dealing with 5 folks who have passed that. And we're really contemplating at this particular point, do we want to expend the energy to help you get over that hurdle, to get out of your own way? There is nothing wrong with you not being ready to jump from A to D. If you want to take those baby steps right now, and if you want to be methodical and do some things your other way, but typically when you're going to call one of the 5 of us, we see greatness in you, right? So we are ready to help you get to that next level now, right? We know what you need to do. We can help you avoid a lot of the pitfalls that are already out there. We can help you avoid some of that gear acquisition syndrome. We can help you avoid some of that intimidation of being in front of a camera. And it's okay again if you're at that point and you're not ready. We just are going to keep moving on. That's the challenge that I think that we're having as coaches, as kind of enthusiasts, as technologists who are a little bit seasoned in this industry. We don't want to leave anybody behind, but man, we just can't wait for everybody. We love to bring everybody with us, but man, I just can't wait for you.
Yeah,
And
that's.
if you happen to
Go ahead,
buy all
Dr.
that
Elo.
gear and not use it, just let us know. We'll keep it for you. Until you're ready,
Send it
we
over,
will
yeah.
keep it for you.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead. What you
You
say?
done got nervous. Steve done got nervous, start pushing buttons.
Yeah, if you happen to buy that gear,
Hey,
we'll keep it for you until you're ready.
man, I'll keep it right. I'll put it on eBay.
Send
Send them G Master lenses this way. I tell you what.
Oh man, no, I'm using my stuff. I'm using my stuff. Oh, okay. We continue the conversation with the end user, if you will. Jamie, real quick, you wrote a paper that's going to be coming out. If you can, just give us the synopsis of that paper, and then how does that paper impact this conversation in the audience, and where they currently are within their journey, and then how they're going to look at content, and how the content that they're going to deliver is going to impact their audience specifically.
Sure. So the paper that you're talking about is really just like a monologue script idea that has been mulling in my head for years. It goes all the way back to when I was at university. I actually, to your point, Steve, about work retail for a season, and you'll learn everything you need to know. I worked retail through my university years and had to do several holiday seasons in video game retail. And you're talking 2002 through to 2008 when video games saw a huge explosion, right, of popularity. And so successfully helping those people to get the things that they needed for that, oh my goodness, it's Christmas Eve, you're about to close in 5 minutes, and when I came in 6 months ago you had this game on the shelf and now you don't, it's all your fault. Dealing with that is kind of what set me on this journey. And then and I'm not going to pull any punches with what I'm about to say.
Not
There
at
are a
all. Go
number
for
of
it.
there are there are a number of software. It's all about courage, right? There are a number of software developers that I've worked with in the last 12 to 18 months who have they absolutely hate the fact that there are users of the software that they make. Right? They say, "Well, I'm clever. I'm smarter than the user. I'm smarter than this. I'm smarter than that person. I'm the smartest person in the room. Aren't I brilliant?" In fact, there's a book I've got just here on my bookshelf, which talks about how at MIT in the '60s, the early software engineers there referred to users with a silent L. So they called them losers, right? And as soon as you have that contempt for the person who is using or consuming the thing that you are creating, you've put them on a lower level and put yourself on a pedestal, right? And as soon as you do that, there's no going back from there. You then are immediately talking down to the person that you're creating this thing, this content, this software, this whatever for. And my thing is all about, we need to stop that. We need to take a moment and think about um, what it is we're creating and how it's going to potentially affect the people that are going to consume it, whether it's software, whether it's a blog post, whether it's a live stream, whether it's a podcast, and just think about what that means to that person. Because in the words of Rob Ince, who is he's a stand-up comedian over here in the UK, words are like shrapnel. They hurt loads in very tiny ways,
Hmm.
right? There are words that we could use that are just, everybody knows that we're all friends here. We can get away with, we've had lots of silly sort of making fun of each other all evening, but in a professional context, that wouldn't be acceptable because it could be seen that there wasn't, because we're all friends here, but in a professional context, there could be seen that there was venom there. So we really need to think about the words we're using and the way we're coming across when we produce that content, whatever that thing is. And that's really the core nugget of this information that I want to put across, especially in software development, because in software development I see it all the time. people saying, "Hey, I'm smarter than the user. Why do I need the user?" Well, guess what? It's the user, it's the consumer who pays your bills, right?
Exactly.
And if you need to treat them with the respect that they deserve for coming to you and giving you their time or giving you their dollars for in exchange for the thing that you're creating. And my thing is all about trying to respect that person, trying to put across my whatever it is that I'm creating with the empathy, sympathy, and compassion that I think is required for that thing, right? I said earlier on, dust off your butt and get your self-respect back. That's a bit cruel to be kind, but sometimes, depending on the situation, you can say something like that.
Right.
Otherwise, you've got to say, look, yeah, it sucks. I was in that situation myself. Like James said, I was in that situation myself, but guess what? Here's what I did, and this might be the thing that helps you out. Because empathy is feeling the feelings that someone feels. Sympathy is feeling it, but wanting it to get better and not doing anything about it. And compassion, empathy, and sympathy, and wanting to make it better. And those are the three steps. But the problem is that, and it's not really. I think problem's the wrong word. The issue that I find is that there are certain people with certain neurodivergencies. In development, we use the term neurodivergent to talk
Come
about
on now.
people who,
Come on, I know.
yeah, right, because we have to be we've got to
Look at
be
Monty. Look at Monty.
compassionate and kind to everyone, right? And there are certain people with certain neurodivergencies who can't understand or can't empathize, can't connect and communicate with those people. And so what you do is you say, hey, here are some learning resources. We're trying to be better to understand you better. Here are some learning resources for you to understand us better. And that way we can come together as a team and actually solve this problem. Because that's what we've got to be. We've got, even in our workspaces, in our sports teams, whatever, we're building those communities. And if we can't work together successfully as a community, well, James, you've used all the sports metaphors already. What's an NFL team like if they can't work together? They're not going to get the Super Bowl, are they? Right?
Yeah. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
Jamie.
My goodness, y'all. Let's go ahead and take everybody take a drink there. Put your pinkies up.
Let's take it.
Do the ELO. Put your pinkies up, boy. Do the ELO and put your pinkies up. Golly.
Man, oh man.
Pinkies up.
Jamie, thank you for sharing that, man, because when I read that and that's and when I knew I was going to have you on, I wanted you to bring that as well. That thought. What does everybody think about the context of what Jamie just talked about as it relates to your end user and how you are thinking about your content? I mean, because we just talked a little bit about the idea that a lot of people aren't ready. There are some people that they want to buy all the gear, but they're not ready to hit record. Whether it's that situation, or it could be something else that you're dealing with from a client standpoint, not just client, but also just from your overall content and user. Does anybody want to share some of their thoughts before we move on to some of the last
Always
pieces?
remember where you come from. That's it. In every single thing in life, always remember when you started. You started from the bottom. You gotta help those go up with you as well. So just don't forget about where your beginning started, where you started with your gear. I started with the phone. I started with the C920 afterwards. Everybody does the same. Everybody starts ugly. You get prettier along the way. That's it.
Yeah, what happened with you though, man?
I don't know, man.
Oh, there you go.
AI.
There you go.
Sorry. You and James.
I'm not even going to engage.
Y'all need that pretty skin app.
I'll play the fifth.
Hey, I got my LUT running right now, so y'all leave me alone. I got my JP High Tech LUT running right now, y'all.
Oh boy.
I better be looking right.
We are going to end with this word thing that I do every year. And I've probably been doing it for like the last 3-4 years. It's been powerful for me. And what it is, a lot of people probably do it already too, is that word or phrase that they have, for the year. Some people have a word, a phrase, and also maybe a scripture that they may have for the year. And that is sort of their guiding post, for almost everything that they do. And so I wanted to end today's live stream, and I wanted us to go around and tell us, myself and everybody else that's out there, what is your word for the year, and why is that so important for you? Because here's the other thing is that everybody in the audience, if you don't have a word for the year, you can, if one of these words or phrases resonate with you and it actually makes sense for you, that's cool. Go ahead and use that, but you got to make it your own. You got to make it your own, just like what we talked
Mhm.
about earlier with like us helping you with content and all this other stuff. You can take it, but you have to make it your own. So let's make sure we go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start with Monty.
Yeah. You know when somebody asks you a question, or you ask someone a question and then they
Yeah.
give you the answer or the two answers. I'm about to be that person that just didn't follow the rules off the bat. Last year, because I think
Here we
I'll take
go.
this off. At least
There
I'm
it is.
honest, right?
That's right. That's right.
Last year was access, leverage, and execution. It was those three words. If you have access to the right information, the right people, leverage what you have, your own skill sets, and then actually doing the thing. So that was last year. That's something I continue to teach to people. If they can just nail those three down, you can have success anywhere. For me personally, it's the word eliminate this year.
Mm.
Eliminate distractions, eliminate stress, eliminate eliminate the things that are causing me to move slow or stop. So like I said earlier on, is evaluating everything. My word this year is to eliminate those things that are unnecessary for growth going forward.
What safeguards, if you will, or guardrails do you have in place to make sure that you execute on this? And those of you who are in the audience too, go ahead and put your word for the year in the audience too, because I want to read some of those out too as we get near the end. But what's some of those guardrails, or what's a guardrail that you actually probably have in place, Monty, to make sure that you do focus in on eliminating some of those unnecessary things in your life.
Yeah, one of them is what James talked about earlier. This is a business.
Mm,
I had a conversation a little bit earlier with someone. Words like help and collab, those
mm,
words instinctively cause me to respond in a way that I think is beneficial to the person. But what it's done, those words have actually mean take in my mind. So
mm-hmm.
someone will reach out, hey, can you just help me with this real quick? It's hey, I'm here now and I'm seeing I need to take some of your time.
Hmm.
So when I see those words now, I'm very aware of what they could potentially mean. And then my last one is just time. Like I have a dedicated time where from pretty much about like 7 to 5 is content creation business. And after that, hey, I'm not available. Like I'm not looking at it, I'm not touching it. So when I come back, now it helps me prioritize this window of time because I don't want to be 24/7 thinking content creation and business and all this stuff. Like I want to enjoy life. And I think sometimes when we think of content creation, we lose ourselves if we're not careful enough. So, um, but I love the fact that you asked that follow up question, Steve, because I think that's what people need to do is put those safeguards in place. Or how are you actually going to make sure you're going to do the thing you said that you're going to do?
That's so true, man. That's so true. Excellent. Jamie,
Yes, sir.
what's your word or
So
phrase or
yeah, so mine's more of a phrase, and it's going to be listen with compassion. So
mm,
I'm taking that
mm,
idea of being more wanting to solve people's problems when they come to me, or looking for a team that isn't being compassionate to the people they are creating the thing for, but also listening to what they have to say because there'll be a reason that they are not behaving with what I feel is the right amount of compassion. Now, obviously, I put little bunny quotes around right amount because you can only take it so far before a software developer that I worked with years ago once said you can only hold the person's hand so far. And you got to kind of let them make a mistake, and then you can be with them to help pick up the pieces and carry on, because otherwise you're not going to learn. And so for me, it's all about stopping and just shutting up and saying, okay, tell me, let me hear the story, let me see what is going on, let me see if I can understand where that is coming from. Because without listening with compassion, I don't think that we can have true diversity and inclusivity. We can't include people without being able to say, tell me your story. Let me understand your story. Let me understand where you're coming from. And then we can build a better team, group, community, tribe, whatever word you want to use. We can then bring people together. Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, right? But the only way I'll find out is if I shut up and listen with compassion, right?
I love the word. I love the word compassion. I think Jamie, you and I were talking a little bit about this maybe last year. We were talking about it in leadership, and it's a word in leadership that's not used a lot. And I started using it a lot last year with my team when I was still doing retail, and also with some of the podcasts. And the reason I gravitated to that word is because the word compassion, it makes you slow down. Just think about it. If you are having compassion for somebody, just if you're driving and you see an accident and you have compassion for that person, guess what? You probably pull over to the side of the road, which slows down your schedule to wherever it is that you were trying to go. And it makes you go and say, "Hey, are you okay? Do I need to call somebody?" It's the same context. And I think when we start to think about this word compassion, I think we think about it as just such in its grassroots. It is really slowing down and making sure that somebody's okay. So I love that. I love that that you're talking about that, because I think the people in the audience can also maybe think about that in that context of having compassion as they're thinking about their content, as they're thinking about their audience. Hey, let's slow the ball down, and then to further Dr. Elo's thought process around, remember where you came from, because if you don't do that, then guess what? You're gonna, people are gonna lose. What do you have in place? I don't know if you said this or not, because I got caught up in the whole compassion piece. What do you have in place to make sure that you are going to kind of live out this thought process around compassion?
So what I'm putting in place, I haven't got it fully figured out yet.
Mm,
Every conversation that I have, what I want to do, be it a professional conversation where I'm, helping out with creating some content or creating some software or whatever, or be it a conversation that leads to a podcast episode or just talking with friends and family, is just to, when the person has stopped talking, just wait a moment,
mm,
right? Just sit there for a second. Just let that thought, that sort of, listen to the actual words that were said, right? Because
mm,
we often, well, I've found, it might just be for me, I don't know, but I've often found that looking back on previous conversations, I tend to work on the assumption of what I think was said, not actually
mm,
the words that were
mm,
said, not
mm.
actually the feelings that were put across. Oh,
Yeah.
I think this person's having a problem with this. Oh, well, we'll go in this direction. Well, actually, they were having a problem with that, and we've gone. It's that 2,000 miles, right? I've gone 2,000 miles. I've gone 1,000 miles in the wrong direction, which means it's 2,000 miles to get to the actual solution. And
Mm,
so, just taking a moment just to sit and think and go, okay, because I've also found that when I ask someone a question, particularly with the interview podcast that I do, and I think I'd like to hope I've gotten a little bit better at interviewing people over the years, is that if I ask a question and then wait a moment, wait for the answer, and then wait a little bit moment, another moment more,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
the person might think,
Come
actually,
on.
I've got a different way to put that across. Can we do that again?
Yeah.
Now that I've had that moment of sort of, I dislike the term, but brain dumping. I've brain dumped my opinion, but whilst I was saying it, I've come up with a slightly different way of saying it. Can I do that again? Absolutely. Let's do this. Right? Because my show, I've got I'm lucky in that my show isn't live; it's all edited, and the editor is in the chat right now. So hey, Mark, you know, so I can actually say in the recording, hey, we're going to take that again. Can we, and that gives that gives that person a little bit more of a relaxed experience. There was a person that I interviewed. I just tell the story real quick. There was a person that I interviewed 2 years ago who was so worried and so anxious and stressed about the actual conversation. He'd pre-written all of his answers, and that's totally fine. You want to do that? That's totally fine, because we'll just talk about the topics that we're going to talk about. Here are your answers. You can just read them out verbatim if you want. And then he started falling over his words, and I'm like, hey, dude, it's all right. Just chill. If you need a moment, that's fine. It's not a problem. We don't have a time limit. We're not live. Let's just take a moment, breathe for a second, find your center,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll continue when you are ready.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to try and do more and more, because I feel like that will make me a better person. Because I feel like my goal is to be a better person tomorrow, which it currently is now already, but there you go. Better person tomorrow than I was yesterday, right?
Do we? Oh man,
That's
'cause
cool.
you got me on this. You got me on this. I'm gonna get to James and Dr. Elo in a second. Do we have? Do you guys give yourself enough compassion as you start to think about, slowing yourself down to make sure that you're doing the right thing and that you are actually going in the right direction? Because I think the tendency sometimes, I think we're
Mm.
all very focused in on our businesses and what we're doing, which is cool. But do we give ourselves enough compassion to say, dude, I don't know if I got to make sure I'm going in the right direction, because even though this may feel cool, I may not be going in the right direction, so I may have to slow the ball down. But if I slow the ball down, I'm gonna miss this opportunity, right? So I don't know if anybody want to chime in on that or not before we get to the other two guys. But that was just a thought that I had, as Jamie was talking about this idea about around compassion as well too. So thank you, Jamie. Dr. Elo.
Before I start, be kind to yourself. That's what I was talking. You were talking about as well. So you need to think about yourself as well sometimes and be kind to yourself. Also, my word is beer. I'm joking. I'm joking. It's not beer. It's not really beer. My word is flexibility. Flexibility for me. This year, especially that I'm doing a pivot on my channel, I'm doing different things. I got to learn how to be more flexible with myself and be, just go with the wind. Let's put it that way. If I make changes, I need to be flexible to understand that those changes will take time to develop more, more audience or more views or something or anything. But for me this year, I have to learn to be a lot more flexible and try to basically adapt, adapt to everything that comes up from now moving on. So it's gonna be different for me. I'm not gonna be sitting here. I'm gonna be out there. I'm gonna be sitting here sometimes. It's different. So I have to embrace my flexibility so I can actually learn from myself, from everybody, and grow a lot more. So
Yeah. And with that shift in um with that shift in purpose, if you will, from not just sitting down and getting out and about, if you will, what are you what are you anticipating? Is that going to, do you think that that's going to have a change in the overall content and how you possibly see, I hate to sound so philosophical, but see your
yeah,
life and see where you are within this whole content creation, journey? Is that something that you're looking for, or is that something that you feel that's going to be sort of an outcome, from that?
it's gonna be an outcome regardless of if I want it or not. It's gonna be a change. It's gonna be at least in my perspective. I'm ready for the challenge to make it. It's gonna be different no matter what. It's gonna be different in regards to growth. Maybe I'll make more growth. I'll let I'll get smaller. I'll get bigger. I really don't. I'm ready for it. I'm just I need to learn how to be more flexible, and that's what I'm trying to do this year to embrace whatever I'm doing and just go with the flow, man. Go with the
Um,
flow and just just go with the flow. That's basically what I want to do this year. I don't want to get hung up in my mind, in my own pressures, because I do pressure myself a lot. That's part of what I do. I've done for years. So this year, I think I'm just gonna take it a little bit easier, and then if this works, I'll go that route and follow the
Yeah.
route that I'm supposed to follow. Like Jamie said, just don't go in the direction I'm not supposed to go. Just follow the direction I'm supposed to, direction that is true, the true north for me. That's
Yeah.
what I'm.
Yeah.
Mm.
You can always hit us up and we'll let you know if you're going the wrong direction or not.
Oh, you let me know.
You know, we'll let you know that, dude. No, stop going to the bodega and getting
Exactly.
Cuban sandwiches on your
Stop
live stream.
dancing. No, you're
On
not
your
gonna
live
see.
on your stop going to the bodega to get your Cuban sandwiches on just for your live stream. Stop doing it. All right, I'm gonna tell you to stop that. A shout out to Talib, who's over on LinkedIn. He is one of the founders of Afro and Audios. Thank you, sir, for joining in. He said it's a great conversation, fellas, and so I just wanted to make sure I shout him out, and then everybody that's actually over there listening, and viewing and watching over on LinkedIn as well too. Over on LinkedIn, if you want to go ahead and put your word for the year in the comments, go for it. I guess we got to hear James.
Hey, why just kicking me to the curb like that? I'm about to give somebody some flowers here.
Everybody else was so profound. He gonna be like,
Yeah.
He's gonna be like, the gym.
I'm from the street, but I'm straight from the gutter. I don't.
His words gonna be squat rack or something like that.
There it is. Hey, give me in about 3 hours. I'm gonna be underneath one. Now, but let me tell you something before I go into mine. I want to talk about Elo right there, and that just shows maturity.
Yeah.
Right. The fact that he now sees he's in this next season of this content creation evolution. And folks listening, folks watching on the replay, that's where we start charging. Right. So this is no longer just a collab. This is no longer just I need. If you want to reach out to Elo, that's X number of dollars per hour to have someone with that experience to talk to. So I'll leave it at that. My word last year was focused. Right, it's plastered all over everywhere. It's on a whole lot of merch. It's got the tag. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. And it's about stay focused on you, and that will always be my mantra in terms of what I do and where I try to lean into. But for 2023, it's advocate. There it is, right there, advocate, because I don't like the word influencer. Right, advocate is really by definition, I believe it's a person who kind of publicly supports others. So back to the conversation that we've already had, I'm putting it all together. I'm willing to help you get to that next level, willing to help you get and level up and do that next thing that you're trying to do. I'm willing to advocate for you, right? If you're willing to, like, I think Elo or like Jamie or someone said, put in that work. If you're willing to put in that work, I'm down to ride with you. But if you're not willing to actually step up to the plate, take that swing yourself, I'm give you all the tools. I'll give you the right bat. I give you the right cleats. I tell you when to pivot, when to swing. But if you don't actually swing and you're just trying to walk, try to get hit by the ball, I can't work with you. So I'm here really trying to advocate for folks who are ready to take their business ventures to that next level, especially as it relates to content creation. I'm dropping mics right there. That's it.
Diamond mics.
Yeah, that wasn't that profound. So don't gas his head up.
No.
Don't gas James up like
Look,
that.
I took a note when he was talking.
Envious Steve. Oh my God.
Hey.
See, that's exactly why I told you not to gas his head up. Don't gas that. Don't do it. Don't do it. No, that's my man, 50 grand. I appreciate that. But James, man, okay. I mean, you got like 8 shows, right?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen with those shows this year? Are you
keep going?
You're gonna keep rocking them out? Yeah.
So everything.
Are you gonna take my advice and finally get on a retainer with some of these companies that you constantly interview and tell them that you want to do that you know that they need to pay you 10 grand a month, to that you interview them, you know, 3
Yeah,
or 4 times a month,
yeah.
because you know listenership with those. I'm just saying, I'm saying, I'm putting it out there in the ethos because I also want my 10% for telling you about this like I did last year. And
All right,
Dell,
all
just
right.
throwing it out
I owe
there.
you some money then because those
I
are in
know.
the works.
Boom.
Those are
There
in the
we go.
works, and I got some emails here right now. So, right, those things have been put into fruition, are actually
That's what I'm
happening.
talking about.
One thing that also will happen. So, I appreciate you for helping me have those conversations. But another thing that I've spoken into existence is taking the shows, taking the streams, taking the message on the road and being in person.
Hmm.
I love the live stream piece, right? I know some other folks that said, you know, they're tired of it, they want to do stuff, but I love this whole aspect. But you see, I emote, I talk with the hands, I like to move, but man, if I can get in front of somebody and have a TEDx style type of conversation,
Mm,
woo, if I could
mm.
take Team No Sleep and talk the social impact of sport at a junior college or at a UC or wherever,
Come
and be
on.
in the cafeteria and just be in the room. Let me just be in the midst with somebody, and we're on stage and having that dialogue, having that fellowship, having that conversation. That's where I'm trying to get to, and speaking it into existence. That's one of the goals that was written on the wall.
Mm,
So for 2023, looking to take either that particular stream or um, perspectives and focus.
hmm.
So I've really slimmed down. So I know you said I had like 8 streams. I've only got a handful now. I've got
I know.
the digital collective, which is talking about enterprise and consumer technology. Got Team No Sleep, which is the social impact of sport, and Perspectives and Focus, which is really around the biz tech and the financial tech world, things of that nature. So those three, if it doesn't fall within those three ecosystems, then I'm not doing those shows anymore. I'm not trying to boil the ocean like I was uh, many years ago. So if it doesn't fit into those categories and it doesn't resonate with the community, because I'm not just putting out content because I like to.
Mm,
If it doesn't resonate with the community and doesn't fall into those three categories, then I'm not going to do it. But man, I sure am trying to take this show on the road, and
yeah.
it's happening, brother. It's happening.
Good.
We're gonna make it happen. Bring y'all
Good.
with me too, because I need someone to have that beer with.
Oh, come
You
on,
know,
Elo,
man.
you
Elo.
You
know,
know it. You know, you got to do is let me know, man.
Yeah.
I'm there. I wanted to well, okay, well, I can't let you off the hook with that. Did I? Or I don't think I did or not. You know, how are you gonna make that happen? Like who are you going to what are you gonna put in place, man, to make sure that you know these things come to pass, right? Do you have a 30, 60, you know, 90 day? Do you want this show to jump off first, this show to be next? Is there some type of layering effect? What's your thought process?
I've got some of that written down, but it's all really hypothetical and it's all written in pencil right now. But and
Hmm.
again, I'm not trying to be the smartest person in any of the rooms.
Yeah.
I'm trying to leverage. I'm trying to put that out there, have a mastermind, have these
Yeah.
conversations with
Yeah.
with the Monties and the Elos and the Steves and the Jamies and the Chris. I want to have that conversation of how to do. I
Yeah.
don't know all the answers,
Yeah.
right? So I really want to leverage the mindset of folks who are doing similar or who have thought about doing similar or who can at least point me in a direction and say, I know this person who is doing that and let me put you in contact with them. So I've got kind of a framework and a structure, but man, it's still very fluid. And that's, I'm not afraid of that.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm not letting that stagnate my elevation and my growth to get to that point. So I'm enjoying this whole marathon, this entire journey of trying to get to that next point before the end of this calendar year. So man, listen, put the seatbelt on, man. There will be some
Mm,
turbulence around here.
oh man.
know it.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good
Yes,
job.
sir.
All right, so we got a couple of people that I wanted to end the show with real quick, just to kind of put their thoughts, their words on the monitor. So shares is completion, and that's her word, and you know she's a
Mm.
scripture. Joshua 1:9 is my word for the year. Hashtag dream it, do it, done, is her mantra. Awesome. Awesome, man. In completion, I think that's a I think that's a you know I think that's a good one as we start to think about. I know we all have our own, but I think there's also some elements of completion that we all need to kind of think about and probably take as it relates to getting different things done. It's cool to have a word and to have a vision and have a plan, but there are also things that we need to have completed in order for us to kind of move forward. So make sure that within your word there are these elements or thought processes of actually getting things completed. Equip Institute, intentional is my word, and Habakkuk 2:2 is my scripture. That was my word last year. Intentionality was my word for 2022. So I can appreciate that. And then she has a mantra also, evolve with intention. Oh, I like that. Evolve with yeah, I like that. I like that. I like that. Mr. Mark from across the pond says, for me, it's consistency and restart. Gonna get back to the things I enjoy doing before, and stick with it in my profession and my real life. Awesome. I appreciate that, Mark. Thank you so much for sharing. This one really caught my eye. And the luxury hybrid said monk mode. Yeah, and I said monk mode, and I said, okay, you gotta give me some more on this one. And so she thank you for writing back. It says, I want to be focused and choose a block of time where I will be inaccessible to people while I'm working on my projects to hopefully 10x in the 12 to 24-month time frame.
I like
Woo!
that.
Come. All
Oh
right, monk
man,
mode. I don't even know who you are, but I like you already. We got to figure out how to get you on the show somehow.
coño.
Yeah. Look at it. Very specific.
Very.
Very I like that.
I like that as well too. You know, one of the things that I did, and I think majority of you were I don't think you guys were on it, but you guys participated in those um um what are those things called? The Pomodoros, you know,
Mhm.
that I did last year. I am going to be doing I'm gonna be rolling out some more of those this year. And if, of course, in the audience, if you want to join and connect with me on some of those Pomodoros, and those are just intentional. So to luxury hybrids comment, it's almost like a monk mode, where you were intentionally going online and we're live streaming it, and we're actually getting a project, something that you really want to get done, and you get it done. And here's why. People are like, well, what? That doesn't make sense. Why are we going live? Because when you go live, there's a sense of almost a sense of accountability attached to it. When you say you're gonna get, you're gonna script out, 2 episodes of your podcast, during this Pomodoro. Go ahead and get it done, and we can talk about it. But those are just certain things that we're gonna be kind of going after, this year. Um, my my word, for the year. Let me just make sure I get this off the screen. Last year was intentional, and this year um, is greater. It's greater. It is everything that we do is going to be done greater. Tonight's episode, I loved tonight's episode, and I feel like this one and then the one that I had with James Cridland are setting the tone for everything that we're going to be doing, with Podcasters Live. The goal is to have a greater capacity of our conversations and everything that we talk about. Yes, we can talk about gear and we can talk about all this other stuff, but I think these are the conversations that need to take place. When you start to think about what you want to do as a content creator, and so we are going to be doing everything from a greater standpoint. There's no stopping us. I shared a little bit earlier with, kind of coming to that precipice, in this journey where typically I would turn back and go to something that was comfortable, from a money standpoint or for whatever. Now it's getting uncomfortable, but now there's no turning back. I'm there for me to do greater things. I got to continue to press forward, and so that is our word for this year as well too. Gentlemen, and everybody in the audience, I want to thank you all so much for everything. All of their information is going to be in the descriptions and comments below. but I do want if there's something that you just want to say in closing. And I know James got a lot to say, so I'm gonna let him go last as always. Um, uh, if
Know
there's
me
something
well,
you want to
brother. Know
say in
me
closing,
well.
yeah, I know him well. I know him too well. If there's something that you want to say in closing, and then also if there's how you want us where people can connect with you at, um, please let us know. Let's go ahead and start with Mr. Elo.
So yeah, I just want to thank you for bringing me to this amazing live stream, and thank you to all your audience for the amazing comments. You can
Yes,
find me at askdrelo.com, askdrelo.com. You can find all my social, all my information in there. Book a call, whatever you want to do, it's in there. So thank you so much.
excellent, excellent, excellent. We got Rock Nation. Pomodoros are powerful. Yes, they are. They help you get a lot of stuff done. A lot of stuff done. Go ahead, Mr. Jamie.
Well, yeah. Well, thank you all for putting up with me for this last hour and a bit, right? Because I'm not the most clear and concise person in the world, but you've all been so nice and put up with me spending time with you. And thank you all for dropping those knowledge bombs that I can then take away and improve my life with. And thank you all for everyone in the chat as well. I really appreciate everyone who stopped by and said what they've said. You know, I'm looking forward to going back through the different chat systems and figuring out everything that people have said and following all the conversations, because that's where the real things are, right?
Yeah.
When I used to go to conferences for, again, software developer, right, it wasn't the talk where the ideas and the business decisions and the contracts happened. It's in the hallway, in between the
Mm,
talks,
mm,
talking to people between them. So that's what I'm interested in. Obviously, I'm interested in everything you all have had to say, but I'm also really interested in what's going on in the chat. So when I have some time, I'm going to go look back on the chat and see what everybody said. So
yeah.
be forewarned, everyone. I'm going to look at what you've been saying.
You know what,
Before,
Jamie? You're all right.
yeah,
You-
man.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, man. He's so much better than James. So,
Yeah,
all
true.
right, my man, the legend, the myth, the guy with beautiful daughter that shuts down the internet anytime he posts a picture. He posts a picture. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so cute. And the next thing you know, the internet falls apart, man.
That's why I'm trying to improve my photography skills and my Lightroom editing skills, and kind of leads me to what my last closing thought is: enjoy the process.
Mm,
We all
yeah.
go through a process to get to the end, but I intentionally find reasons to enjoy it. Like
Mm,
some things are going to be hard, but if I enjoy I know it's going to be a process. So let me just enjoy the ride while I'm going through it. It's going to be tough, and sometimes some parts of it will be easy, but I just enjoy going through the process because I already
Mm.
know the destination.
mm,
Yeah, you guys can find me on Amazon. That's where I like to hang out these days. YouTube, like to hang out these days. I like to hang out with you guys.
yeah.
Not only my guys here, but also people in the chat. I think there's power in live streaming and sharing thoughts. And James had me sitting here thinking. I did take one note when James was talking.
Just
'Cause
one.
he just one, but uh, I learned something from everybody. So I'm a listener by nature. And so even though I know you guys, like every time we have these conversations, I'm learning something. I'm picking up something. Can I implement that into what I'm doing? And when James said advocate, I was like, ooh, haven't heard that word in a while.
No,
Let me go do
listen, hold on now.
He
I do
just
have little. I'm
he just
filling out trademarks here.
he
it.
just picked he just picked that word up today, man.
Look,
He
look,
just picked
look.
it. He was at the Goodwill to pick that he picked that hoodie up at the Goodwill and said advocate, and now he making it his
Here
own.
we go. Here we go.
Best
I thought
believe
it
I
said
will go
avocado.
and look at definitions of it. I will study the word. I'll be like, okay, this is what James is doing. James ain't got to tell me what he's doing, but because of I know what his word is for the year and then some other stuff he said, I'm gonna get with you, James. Because when you said take this show on the road, there's something I'm already working with. with my team of doing some stuff on the road. So
Awesome.
it will happen for you. We just gonna double down on speaking that into existence for you.
That's
So
right.
Love it.
That's
Love
right.
it. Appreciate you, sir.
glad to be here with everybody
Yeah,
tonight.
Monty, thank you, man. I know your time is valuable, dude, and I know you don't do a lot of these things, but I appreciate you, man, showing us the love as always with Podcasters Live, man. So I appreciate you being here, man, so much. All right, my man, 50 grand, my brother
Yeah.
from another mother, my West Coast guy.
Put a timer.
Yeah, the kid put his
See, you cutting in on my time already. Look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna regurgitate kind of what everyone's already said. I appreciate you for having us on this panel, having this discussion, because a lot of times these conversations don't happen enough, right? A lot of time it's very superficial conversations, but we got into some meat, and when you got experts like a Monty Weaver taking notes, somebody said something. Right. So hopefully the folks that are listening and watching also gathered some value from this conversation. So appreciate for even being asked to be a part of this. We don't know everything though, folks. Consciously, we know we don't know everything. We don't want to know everything. So, but we do know how to avoid some of the pitfalls. So if you really are serious about trying to elevate yourself and you're trying to get to that next level, get to that next step, get on these people's calendars. Get on Jamie's calendar. Look, I don't know what he charges per hour. I don't know what he charges per 30-minute session. I know Monty's expensive though. So listen, if you're gonna get on his calendar, make sure you know what make sure you're ready. But again, that's what you're looking for. You're looking to really cut down that learning curve and work with some folks, some subject matter experts within this particular field. So everything for me you can find on hicksnewmedia.com. That's the hub for blogs. That's the hub for where the merchandise lives. You can get to the community that's blossoming and very engaged from there as well. So I've actually consolidated everything into that primary domain. So hicksnewmedia.com. Thank you, man, again.
Excellent, man. Excellent. Well, appreciate you guys for being on. Hang out for a second when I close this puppy out. All right. Woo-wee. Man, oh man. I love doing this. I love live streaming. I love connecting with people. I love interviewing people. Because I always learn something, from it. But I think the best thing that an interviewer can do is to try to pull out things that the audience really will resonate with. And I think we were able to do that tonight. I think tonight's kind of reunion show was able to bring out some of the thoughts and concerns and concepts and ideas that a lot of you in the audience may be struggling with. If you're not struggling with it now, you may be down the line. If you're past that, guess what? There may be something else that you may be dealing with, or you're just starting and you don't know where to go. So hopefully we've been able to do that. The other thing that we truly enjoy doing with Podcasters Live is connecting with people who are thinking about podcasting, or you're thinking about live streaming. We are a company within that convergence point of helping you understand how both can add value to your brand. If you are a podcaster, you're thinking about live streaming, guess what? You can build more of your authority by doing exactly what we did tonight. If you are a live streamer, you thinking about podcasting, you can do something very similar to what we do with two of our podcasts, Podcasters Live and Retail Leadership with Steve Worthy, because there's something about the audio aspect of connecting with somebody. The level of intimacy that you can create is nothing else that you can actually receive. So if you're interested in understanding a little bit more about what we do and how we can help you out, connect with us at podcasterslive.com, and we'll see you there. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. If you have any more questions, you can connect with us in the comments, or you can connect with each and every individual person on their platforms as well. Have a great night, and God bless.